Hello again, it's Mark Garcia, author of How to Become a Rockstar Chef and founder of the Rockstar Chef Marketing Academy. We teach you how to become the next rockstar chef so that you can get your brand, your products or services out into the marketplace and actually get paid for your expertise, your knowledge, and your culinary point of view. I'm truly excited to be here with you today because I think that the greatest opportunity that exists in our marketplace right now is the ability for you as a chef, as a restaurateur, or a food service professional to be able to engage and instantly communicate with millions of people all across the globe and share your expertise, your culinary knowledge, or build up your personal brand. Now listen, one of the top questions I get asked from friends, colleagues, and consulting clients all the time is, Mark, tell me about the different ways that I can generate additional revenue in my business, both online and offline. Tell me exactly how all of these people that you work with and that I see out in the marketplace, how are they generating tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars in additional revenue by setting up and selling these things online? As many of you may know, my background in selling things online goes back well over 15 years. I was kind of the go-to guy when brands and celebrity chefs and movie stars and sports stars and different properties wanted to set up digital storefronts and learn how to build their brands and revenue on the internet. I was a guy behind the scenes of some of the most successful and lucrative online marketing campaigns ever in the food industry. I've also launched multi-million-dollar products out into the marketplace for some of the largest brands and CPG companies in the world. We're talking multi-billion-dollar global companies here. Now, I don't mention these things to impress you. I mention them to impress upon you that I've got direct experience doing this in multiple categories and with multiple unique products. I live this stuff day in and day out. This isn't just theory to me, and as we say in Texas, it ain't bragging if you can actually do it. So back to the question of where does the money come from? Well, let's talk about a model of how you as a chef or a restaurateur or a foodie could build a $1 million business in both the online world, the offline world, or some combination of both. If I had to start over again in my business from scratch, this is exactly the recipe I would use to build my business back up. What I'm going to teach you is a plan to reach $1 million in revenue with 10 different products and services. That's right, $1 million in revenue in 1 year with 10 different products and services. Well, in this free training video, I'm going to teach you how to create the various products, how you market those products, and how you can build up a real brand doing this. This training video is going to be very, very helpful. So make sure that you opted in at rockstarchef.com so that you'll receive all of my training videos, not just this bonus one. Break for a second. I think that before I reveal all of the money behind these things, I want to share with you two things. Number one, in this video I'm going to discuss and we're going to talk a lot about money and the math in making $100,000 in each of 10 different segments that'll equal up a little over $1 million. Now, some people have an issue with talking about money, but I think if I can empower you with the math and show you realistically how to make money at this, well, then you can start to see that this is something that can become real in your life. Look, as much as I'm going to be discussing money, this is all about the meaning of your work, about your craft, and your contribution to the marketplace from your products, from your programs and services. And number two, people can sometimes get very overwhelmed. I'm no different. As soon as I start talking about these 10 different products or programs, some people, they get overwhelmed. Well, you don't have to do all 10, but you're probably going to pick one or two that resonate with you and go from there. So I'm going to show you some different types of products, of programs or services that you can sell, and I'm going to show you some industry standard pricing. These aren't things that I just pulled out of the back, out of my back pocket here. These are actually what's taking the marketplace currently. Now, before we get started, we have to get some legal disclaimers out of the way to keep the FTC happy. Hello FTC, how are you? I must tell you that this video, of course, is for illustration purposes, and I am not guaranteeing anybody is going to make $1 million doing this. I don't know your knowledge. I don't know your skills. I don't know your abilities. I don't know your passion for doing something like this. You may be watching this on the couch and you never do anything with the information. And I certainly don't know your self-discipline or your business acumen. But I can suggest to you simply that this is a path that others have followed very successfully. Okay, now that's out of the way. Let's do an illustrative map of how a person or a business could hit $1 million in 12 months. So that you're no longer wondering, well, where does all this money come from in this rockstar chef space, Mark, that you're talking about? I understand food and I understand, some traditional ways of making money, but what's all this digital things you're talking about? Well, our industry and many of our colleagues are guilty of talking about all the different money and revenue that they can generate in their business, but they never show the math, and they certainly never show the process behind how all of this works. You know, there's about 22 different products, programs, or services that you can offer on your way to building your Rockstar Chef brand. I want to show you the broad spectrum of ideas so that you can see what's possible, see what's available here. Now, you may or may not choose to do all of them, and you may only pick a few things to build. That's cool. Many people have made a fortune picking just 2 to 4 things from this list. They have a great lifestyle, and they've got a business that's centered around those things, and they love where they're at. You know, almost every product, program, or service that I'm going to show you here falls into one of 4 buckets. Look, my job is to get you exposed and trained in this whole new world of digital marketing. Yes, listen, there's a ton of people selling food online. That's not what this is about. Let me say that one more time because I kind of had more air come up. You know, yes, there's tons of people out there selling food online, and that's not what this is about. If you want to learn how to do that, or if you're currently selling your own branded products online, well, I teach you how to amplify those sales at our Rockstar Chef Marketing Academy. Now, I know that you see tons of chefs or restaurants or various brand names. They're selling soups, they're selling sauces, they're selling jams, jellies, oils, vinegar, spices, spice rubs, marinades, they're selling smoked fish, they're doing butters and tons of other items online. But allow me to expose you to some products and programs and services that are consumed by your customer in a different way, kind of outside of that traditional food consumption that I just mentioned. Meaning, besides just consuming your food or food products, your customers might also consume your offerings by one of these 4 buckets. Number 1, reading something. Number 2, watching something. Number 3, hearing something. And 4, experiencing something live or experiential offerings. We'll talk about each one of these in a little bit more detail. So let me give you some examples to explain a little bit further. I think most of us get read it. I mean, and especially in our industry, that's traditionally books or newsletters or training manuals or articles or ebooks or electronic books. That one we kind of get. We understand read it. Well, hear it. What do I mean when I say hear it? How do they consume your expertise or your knowledge there? Well, that's through MP3s or audio CDs or podcasts or radio shows or teleseminars. They can also watch it. So that can be traditional TV, that can be DVDs, that can also be, like we're doing here, a web video. It can be an app video. I think you get where watch it comes into it. And then experience it, the last of the 4 buckets. What do I mean by that? Well, experiencing it live could be a speech, could be a workshop, could be a consulting, mastermind that you put together. Or it could be you as the culinary celebrity spokesperson at an event or a judge somewhere. Or maybe it's a retreat or a live cooking class or some sort of special private dinner or my favorite, exclusive travel, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. So like I said, I'm going to show you 10 different products and programs or services that you can create, and I'm also going to very methodically walk you through how the numbers work to make $100,000 within each of these 10 categories, right? 10 categories, $100,000 in each category, that's $1 million a year. Now again, maybe your goal is to make way more than $100,000 in each one of these categories. That's cool, and that certainly was my goal at the beginning. And at the same time, some of you may be saying to yourself, gosh, if I could just make an extra $100,000 a year from just one product, that'd be awesome. That would really be life-changing for me. So that's why I show you the numbers here in each of these areas. Well, what exactly are the 10 different products or services that you can create as a Rockstar Chef, or really anybody who's trying to get their information or their knowledge or expertise out into the marketplace? Well, traditionally, what most people initially think of is books. I mean, nothing wrong with that. That's just kind of what we get it, we understand it, or some other variation of the written form of word, because that's where people can learn from you, or they can read about you or understand and read your content or your story. Now, I'll tell you what, I've been blessed in this area because I love to write. I really do. I love to put my ideas down and my thoughts down on paper, and I absolutely love books, both electronic as well as traditional, physical books. So number one, let's say we create an ebook or electronic book for which you'll charge $37. Now, I'm not talking about the Kindle books for 99 cents or $2.97. This is a similar platform, but a different modality of delivering content. So this is an ebook that's anywhere from 35 to 75 pages long, and it can talk about any subject, or it can also train on a technique or anything that you want. So what's our path to hitting $1 million with this product or $100,000 in this category? Well, guess what? You'd have to sell 226 units at $37 each month. That means a little over 200 people each month buy your ebook, which they can download immediately from the internet or purchase from a website. That comes out to about $8,362 a month. So multiply that out by 12 and that equals $100,344. So if you have a little over 200 people each month giving you $37, that's a little over $8,000 a month, and over the course of a year, that's $100,000. Do you see how this adds up really, really fast? And this is just our first product, by the way. I don't know about you, but when I think about selling 200 of anything in a month, I don't get overwhelmed. I say to myself, that's it? Really? Just 200? Besides, when I first learned about digital marketing and ebooks and electronic books back in the day, late 90s, early 2000s, I was meeting and working with and networking with folks who were selling millions of dollars with this type of program. So remember, the key thing about this medium is that you're going to get exposure for you or your brand and your offerings. It's a very quick, inexpensive way to do that. And by the way, this is something that's running on the internet 24/7. So I want you to think of your books or your ebooks or your how-to guides, whatever you're going to create, as your own little sales force that's marching across the internet and the marketplace, spreading the message about you and telling everyone who you are, what you're all about. I mean, I have people purchasing my books and products and ebooks all over the world all the time, 24/7. Every morning I wake up and I look at my inbox and there's examples and all this revenue's coming in from stuff that sold overnight. I love it. It's a great way to wake up in the morning. Okay, number 2, create a traditional hardcover or paperback book that you charge $19.97. And again, traditional, this could be something that you self-publish or you go through a mid-tier publisher, or you go full-blown and get an agent and do a book proposal to get published by one of the big houses in New York City. We'll get to that in another video. But listen, $19.97, that's kind of a middle-of-the-road price point. And again, for this example, for this roadmap here, you'd need to sell about 5,000 of those books over the course of the year to equal $100,000. It's actually a 5,008. So that comes out to about 417 units each and every month that you have to sell. So look how easy it was to make $100,000 with just a $19.97 book. I mean, let's go on. There's much more here. How about number 3? Create a teleseminar that you charge $47 for. I love teleseminars because this one's so easy, because basically you're getting people to register for a teleconference call with you. I mean, it can be live or recorded. So let's say that you get a bunch of people to register and listen to you talk about your expertise or your culinary point of view or your training or your experience on Top Chef or whatever, your experience at the Bocuse d'Or. Whatever you want to discuss, you can do it. I've seen people out there do, like I mentioned, some of the reality show participants where they talk about their experience. I also have people talking about how to make ravioli. I mean, the sky's the limit on where you want to go with this. Well, in order to make $100,000 with this type of offering, you would need to get 2,128 people to register for that over the course of a year. 2,128 divided by 12 months out of the year means that you only have to do a teleseminar once a month with 177 people on it. Okay, if that number seems too big for you, do 2 teleseminars each month with what, like 85, 90 people on that call. Do that twice a month. Listen, I know several individuals, and you've seen some of them out there in the marketplace. They do teleseminars each week to more than 500 to 1,000 people at a time. Now, do you think you could do one a month with only 177 of your fans or customers on the line? You see, what I've learned about our industry is that so many of us get overwhelmed quickly because digital's new, and it's just, there's not a lot of people out there teaching realistic ways about it, and we've never really learned about these type of offerings, or we've never really studied the math behind them, or we've never had someone present them to us in a way like this. I mean, none of the culinary schools are teaching about this, and I say that with respect, but just they don't know about this or they don't have experience doing this. So you're not going to learn it at a culinary school. You're certainly not going to learn this at any of the business schools. I mean, they'll talk very kind of high level about internet and digital marketing, but nobody's teaching how to do products like this. Or if you do, like you are now, you're probably getting a little bit of exposure to this, and I'm showing you about the money and you're freaking out. Look, I've already just shown you 3 products and programs that you can make $100,000 with in each of them. If you did these 3, that could be an extra $300,000 to your business this year with just those 3 things. I'm trying to show you to not get overwhelmed and how easy this can be. It's hard work. It's not like this is going to just happen in your sleep. And by the way, None of these involve moving thousands and thousands of units each month. I think you saw that with the first 3 examples. I mean, that's what I love about the new digital economy and all the tools and the platforms that we have available to us, because the speed and ease of creation, and more importantly, delivery of these items, it's unprecedented. We couldn't do this 3 or 5 years ago, not the way we can now with very low, minimal costs, sometimes even free. By the way, how many items do you have to sell in your current business with your margins to make these kind of dollars? I mean, how much do you have to sell to make $100,000 from one of your dishes, from one of your cupcakes, from one of your spices or herb blends or sauces that you're selling online? Think about that for a second. I hope that excites you and makes you go, wait a second. This maybe isn't as hard or as scary as I originally thought, and maybe I don't need to freak out. Well, listen, the 4th product you can create as a rockstar chef is an audio program. And this is still one of the most popular, one of the most easy to implement, and one of the most profitable, by the way, items in the marketplace. Think about that for a second. How many people are listening to motivational tapes or books on tape or, anything where they're going about their daily lives? I mean, they're commuting on the train or driving in traffic or whatever, listening to the iPad while they're running or at the gym. Again, whether they're in the car and it's on their phone or the various screens, whether it's the laptop, the tablet, the phone, whatever. People love listening to audio. We're kind of hardwired for it. I myself have a 6 CD audio course that has done really, really well out in the marketplace. Well, let's say that you create an audio course like that and you sell it for $197. That's, again, very, very typical in this industry and a great, price point. Well, how many of those would you have to sell to make $100,000 in a year? Well, 197, if you move 508 units over the course of a year, you'd make a little over 100 grand. How many is that a month? Well, 508 units divided by 12 months of the year means that you only have to sell about 43 of these a month. Could you create a 6 CD audio program? Your answer, by the way, should be a resounding yes. Break. Because all you have to do is literally record onto one of the screens that you already own, or buy an inexpensive microphone from Best Buy or Amazon or Radio Shack and plug it into the USB port in your computer, download some free, by the way, audio software, and record your content. And what I mean by one of the screens, that's your, your laptop, your tablet. Heck, you can even do it on your phone. And by the way, you can put about an hour of content onto a CD. So talk for 6 hours on your topic or your expertise or your training or your experience being on one of the reality cooking shows. Do that and voila, you've got a 6 CD audio course. Now, you put that up online and you sell it for $197. If you sell 43 a month, then you just made 100 grand for the year. I mean, why aren't you doing this? By the way, you don't have to make a whole bunch of those and keep it in your garage. We'll go into more detail about this. This is something that you can create, and when someone orders, it gets produced on demand and ships out to them. I don't stock any inventory of my 6 CD audio course. As soon as you order it, it gets assembled, it gets put together in a package, out the door. I'm not handling any of it. Well, what else can you do? Number 5, webinars. I kind of chuckle a little bit because you've seen these everywhere, right? I mean, everybody and their sister seems to be doing these. And, webinars are great because you can just create a PowerPoint presentation for those of you stuck in the past on a PC. And those of us on Macs, you use Keynote. And you just upload that to a webinar service platform or live stream or heck, even Google with Google Hangouts, which is for free. You can do that and you get people to register for it. Whether you're, there's some people out there doing it for free or like I suggest, charging. Just do that and you're done. Now, a lot of people will conduct a free webinar or a class so that they can upsell into a bigger, higher-end product or training program, which we'll talk about later. But you can also do a presentation where you charge money for attendance. And again, there are people out there right now doing this exact thing. They may not be calling it a webinar, they call it a live workshop or a interactive workshop. There's all sorts of names for it, or they're just calling it online cooking class, whatever. But let's just say, and again, middle of the road pricing here, let's say you charge $69 for a register for one webinar or class or a series if you decide to do that. Well, if you get 1,450 individual registrants for that, you make 100 grand. So that means that you'd have to get about 121 people every single month. So let's break that down even further. If you do just one webinar or cooking class a month, one a month, listen to this. If you do just one a month based upon your content or your knowledge or whatever you decide to do every single month, and you get 121 customers to that event, then over the course of the year, you've just made 100 grand. I mean, webinars are great, one, because the technology is so cheap, if not free, to put them out, and because people can watch it and participate from really anywhere in the world, whether they're on their desktop computer, their laptop, their tablet, their phone. They're not limited to, oh, I've got to be in one place to watch this. They don't have to travel anywhere, and they can access it immediately. So, it's so freaking simple and easy to do. You should be doing those. Now, what are some of the other programs? And I know I'm going kind of fast here, but the idea of this video is to show you what's possible. I mean, have you started to envision yourself creating some of these types of programs? I hope you have. And immediately you should start creating these things. All right, number 6, live events or workshops. We talked about webinars being a recorded event or semi-live, but live in-person events are they're incredibly lucrative, and most chefs and restaurateurs, they don't even think of them, or if they are thinking of them and conducting them, they're doing it in a very limited one-off way. So seminars, cooking classes, workshops, conferences, retreats, tastings, adventure trips, whatever. I think you get the idea. Anything where it's live with you and with others is very lucrative. Now let's say you want to put on a workshop or a technique class. And maybe, we'll give you an example. One of my buddies just did this in Hawaii. Maybe you're an awesome ice sculptor, or perhaps, and I just read about a guy in San Francisco doing this, you're a great bread baker. I mean, you are a bread baking master. You love to talk about all the Levan style breads. And you wanted to offer a one-day cooking class or workshop. So we call a mid-tier price point, a workshop of $497, which means there's low-tier prices. I've seen people charge $99, kind of mid-tier $497 like I'm talking about, and then higher is $1,000 and up. So really there's all sorts of levels for that you can go from low all the way up to expensive. By the way, $497 for a one-day hands-on workshop. This is not a cooking class, by the way. This is a hands-on workshop. A technique class is very, very common. And $497, as I said, is kind of actually on the low end, but we'll do it. So a mid-tier workshop, $497, and let's say you sell 17 spots or 17 tickets each month. That's $8,449. Multiply that out by 12, and that equals $101,388 over the course of a year. Let me ask you something. If you had nothing else to do and this was your career, could you sell an average of 4 tickets to a workshop a week? I mean, if that's all you were doing is just doing a workshop to earn 100 grand a year, if you had nothing else to do during the 8 to 10 hours a day that you're currently working right now for $50, $60, maybe $70,000 if you're lucky. Well, if you did that kind of work, could you sell, tickets to those by picking up the phone, by sending out emails, by networking with people or going out to events or connecting on social media? If you don't believe you can, then self-confidence in your abilities is the problem and not this program. Okay, you can absolutely figure out how to do this. I've trained myself to figure it out. Others have trained themselves how to do it. I've shown other people. But imagine how much of a difference this could make in your life to have an extra $100,000 coming in each year, which is one activity. And by the way, doing something that you really love to do and share with people, I mean, it doesn't get better than that. So if you planned a seminar, a workshop, live, whatever we're going to call it. Listen to this, by the way. A seminar or workshop is one of the best ways to position yourself as an expert or a thought leader in any segment of our industry, because now people have to come to you to learn from you and your expertise. Most folks will simply conclude that since you created the workshop or since you have the live event, you must be the expert on that subject. Guys, that's powerful. That's positioning and marketing and branding all rolled into one. It's a great positioning tool and a great delivery platform for you to not only generate significant income. Remember, that was just 17 tickets. Could you do that 2-3 times a month? Sure you could. But this is also making a real and lasting impact with other people as well as the marketplace. By the way, the revenue I spoke about earlier, as I said, that's just on the front end. Out of all these 6 programs and products that I've just talked about and shown you, so far those are just front-end original sales. This doesn't even take into account any upsells that you do or back-end sales. I mean, for example, if at your live event or workshop, might you consider offering up some of your other products and programs and services for sale? Would you let them know at your live event that you do webinars, that you have a book for sale, that you have teleseminars, or the audio program? Listen, live events and workshops are some of the best platforms for introducing higher tier offerings that your customers and fans absolutely love. You know, it's not like they reject you for making these available for them. Besides, many times your customers will really take the whole experience, you know, to another level because they get to spend some face-to-face time with you. And of course, they want to consume more of you and your products at home. All right, number 7, a DVD home study program. Remember I said earlier in the training that one of the 4 modalities that people love to learn or consume information, and one of those modalities that you have for your customers is to be able to interact with you or your brand and watch and listen at the same time to you. Well, that's a DVD program. You can create a video course or workshop where you're teaching your technique or expertise. Hey, by the way, it could also be a professional taping of the live event that you just conducted. You starting to see how this all builds upon each other? Well, let's say you created a multi-DVD series and you sell it online and you ship it to your customer's house. Again, remember, this is not something that you're warehousing in your garage. Somebody else is taking care of all the processing and ordering and fulfillment for you. And let's say that you sell that DVD course for $497. By the way, once again, that's on the low end of the pricing spectrum for this industry. The average price for a multi-disc DVD program of any kind of great content, it's about $1,000. But let's be somewhat conservative here and let's price ours out $497 for this example. How many of those do you have to sell over the course of a year to make 100 grand? Math is pretty simple here, guys. $497 times 202 sales over the course of a year. Well, that equals a little bit over $100,000. Well, how many do you have to sell on average per month to achieve that kind of revenue? Simple. Pull out your calculator. You can even do this one longhand. 202 units divided by 12 months equals about 17 units a month that you have to sell. Think about that for a second. You know, I'm not asking you to sell 1 million units of anything. I'm asking you to sell 17 units per month and you make 100 grand. That alone right there, this program should excite the hell out of you. Because again, for those of you who have products for sale, like your dressings and your spices and your herbs, I think you have to sell more than 17 of them a month to make 100 grand over the course of the year. All right, number 8, private events. Now, I know you may be thinking, hey, this is like traditional private dinners or catering or chef's table events that you have, and yeah, that's part of it. But what about private events where maybe you do some personal coaching, whether it's small group or individual? You know, what I love about private coaching and consulting is the fact that you get to work on an individual level or on a smaller scale if you have a group of individuals in this class with you. You know, private events can be cool because you get to interact with people on a real personal level and you build connections that last a lifetime. And a certain segment of your customers and fans will always want this kind of access to you. So let's say that you price this type of offering, whatever you're going to do, at $997 a person. Now, for $997, almost $1,000, you can structure these really any way that you want. I mean, you can go super simple. You can go totally complicated. It's totally up to you. You can go all out and get really inspired for these small group interactions, or you can make them simple and uncomplicated as you want. I mean, I've seen a ton of examples like this out in the marketplace. You know, a good one, I was just recently at a fundraiser with the owners of the Four Seasons up in New York City. And they have a very cool thing that they do on Saturdays where, they're not open for lunch and traditionally the kitchen's a little bit of an off-peak hour. Well, they invite people in and they do kind of a workshop tasting brunch class. So for a few hours during, an off-peak hour, they have folks come in and they're going to do some cooking, probably do a caviar tasting, champagne caviar. And if you don't want to cook and get involved, that's too. You can just, be there as a spectator. But they get to spend time with the chef in the kitchen, and maybe they bring in special guests and they get to spend time with the owners. That's one program. Or maybe it's trips to the local farmer's market, or one of the artists and food producers that, supplies your restaurant or your business. And maybe you have a luncheon there or a breakfast or, whichever. Again, private dinners, wine tasting, sky's the limit on really where you can go with this. So at $997, or if you're a little bit fearful of that price point, do $997 a couple if you'd like. That way, man and his wife could come, spouses or good friends or colleagues or business things or whatever. 2 people could come for $997. Well, how many would you have to sell of an event like that over the course of a year to earn $100,000? Well, again, the math is very simple. You'd have to sell 101 tickets, whether it's as a couple or person, to an event like that. That means you'd have to sell 9 tickets per month. 9. Even if you just do this one day, one weekend, a month, 9 people. Well, how many of you can do this? The question is, will you do this? Break. All right, number 9, getting hired as a speaker or a spokesperson for an event. I absolutely love this example here for so many reasons. Biggest one is speaking is very lucrative. It's a very lucrative part of the Rockstar Chef industry. And when I say speaking, it could be, putting together a keynote presentation where you present to, a group of executives or at a conference or at a training school, or, it can be a 2-hour training as part of a training conference or a panel discussion like at South by Southwest, or maybe even an appearance at an event, where you're a culinary judge or an MC or, whatever. It's really, live events are one of the best ways when you get hired as a speaker, one of the best ways to brand yourself and earn money doing something fun. It's also one of the best ways to get your message or your culinary point of view out there, or brand yourself or your restaurant or your products or services. I mean, this is really powerful, and not enough of you are out there doing this. I mean, let's say you get hired to speak or teach or train or entertain in an event. And I'm going to, again, I know some of you will think, you'd be very impressed with this number, and yeah, when I first started out I was too, but the number I'm going to give you, it's actually on the low side of industry standards for these type of events. So let's say that you get hired for a gig at $5,000. Remember, that's actually on the low side for our industry. Well, at $5,000 an appearance or an event, how many do you need to do, or how many do you need to get hired for over the course of a year to earn $100,000? Math is super simple here, guys. 20. You can even do that on, you don't even have to pull out a calculator for that. That's right. You'd need to speak at or to appear at 20 events over the course of a year to earn $100,000 in revenue. By the way, I know several minor league chefs. These would be people that most of you don't know, haven't heard about. They're out on the circuit, and they're doing 40 or 50 appearances or talks or keynotes or panel discussions a year. 40 or 50. But back to our example. You would need to just do 2 a month. That's right, 2 speeches or appearances a month over the course of a year to earn $100 grand. I mean, that right there, one, you're out in the public, that should get you super excited. All right, number 10, our last and final example in this $1 million revenue recipe is one that I've just started to develop and I'm doing here in my business, and it's really one that my team and I are really jazzed about. The program I'm going to talk about is an exclusive experiential offering that only your elite customers and fans can access. Now, they're kind of like the one-day, live workshop. This is, there's many ways to execute this, but typically the model is for you and your best customers. You give them access to you over the period of multiple days. It could be 3 days, 5 days, or over a course of a week. Matter of fact, one very well-known chef that I won't mention his name, but you all know who he is and has a tremendous following and tremendous position in the marketplace. Well, let's say that he was to put on a program where people would travel to his restaurant in Napa Valley. Now, of course, this could be, in your example for you personally, wherever you're at. I'm sure you're in a location that's got a lot of attractive things to it. But let's say in this example, the chef that we worked with and helped him develop, he's going to bring out these exclusive clientele to his restaurant in Napa Valley. And they're going to spend a few days and a week with him, or you in your place. So your guests would stay in luxurious 5-star accommodations, boutique hotels, bed and breakfast, something very, very unique. And perhaps you spend a couple of those days cooking together with them in your kitchen during off-peak hours, of course, because you don't want this to interrupt your business too much. And maybe the small group prepares lunch, or they do brunch together. And maybe you even host a private, hosted winery tour to one of your favorite wineries, or it can be one of your artisan farms or somewhere that you think is cool in your area. A couple of days are spent visiting the various farmers or artisan, suppliers like I talked about that supply your restaurant. Maybe even take them on a scenic tour of your area, and you do a catered picnic in one of the picturesque spots around town. Here's a kicker here, guys. Perhaps you even schedule some one-on-one time with those customers so they can take pictures with you, or you can sign books for them, or just, they have that kind of one-on-one time with you, and they can have some exclusive conversations with you. Another part of this program could be maybe you invite this whole group, and it's a very small group. I'll talk about the numbers here in a minute, but maybe you invite this group to your home for dinner one night. I think you get the idea where I'm going. It's lots of one-on-one time. It's very exclusive, very behind the scenes, very kind of, high-level interaction with you. Because, by the way, this level of customer, they're looking for access and personal time in your world. Now, if committing to a week is too much for some of you to consider, much like the chef that I mentioned in the example, well, because of your business demands, then maybe you can partner up with another chef in your area who your customers would enjoy this kind of access and spending quality time with. And you offer up multiple experiences from each of you. You're going to have different things that are important to you or jazzed about, or different suppliers that you go visit. But here's the thing. You, let's say, only have to give up a few days, so instead of giving up a whole week, and your guests get to really, they truly enjoy a one-of-a-kind culinary experience. They create memories, they have access, they have that one-on-one time with you. And since this program is a little bit more involved and will take up some of your focus, I mean, let's be real, this is not going to be something that you can just do a little bit with. You charge accordingly. I mean, you could easily charge, $10,000 per couple for an exclusive event like this. Again, examples in the marketplace, many of the affinity credit card companies like, the Black or Platinum from American Express, or some of the higher tier cards, and even luxury travel sites, they offer similar programs like this at a much higher price point than the example I'm giving you here. I mean, matter of fact, I saw something today where, for like, I don't know, it was 180,000 pounds, so whatever that, whatever the exchange rate is there, for 180,000 pounds, I think it's something like $200,000 or $300,000, you could travel for 6 months and eat at the 100+ Michelin 3-star restaurants across the world. Okay, you got to realize, just because this may not be in your perspective, there are people out in the world and in the marketplace where money's not an object. They want events, they want experiences, they want something unique, they want something that not everybody can have, and they're willing to pay for it. So again, in this example, so to make $100,000, you would need just 10 couples. And if you want to charge $10,000 a person, that's okay, but I think the couple things makes it a little more attractive to people. So 10 couples over the course of a year would have to sign up for something like that. Now think about that, because here's where it really gets fun. Could you prepare and plan an event like this once, maybe twice a year, either in your local area, or maybe you travel to one of your favorite food destinations in the world? Could it be in Tuscany or somewhere else in Italy or Paris? Or could you go, to one of your favorite wineries? Or could you go to Napa? Let's say you live in the East Coast and wanted to go out and spend a week in Napa. And oh, by the way, get paid to do that. I mean, think of it of like planning a vacation that you just happen to bring along some really cool new friends and customers along, doing the things that you like to do, by the way. I mean, you structure this however you'd like. I mean, visiting wineries, hitting the spas, going out to farmers markets and visiting the craftsmen and the artisan food producers and checking out all the local hot spots, all the while getting paid handsomely for the experience. Can you see why I'm very excited about this, and my team is too? We're all ready to sign up for this. So there you go. 10 different types of products, programs, or services that you can create to enhance your top line and your bottom line revenue for your business. Now again, in showing you all of this, the reason I did this was because I was thinking that if you saw all these different opportunities, if you saw the different ways to make money, both offline and offline, or a combination of both, then you truly say out loud, I can do this. I can do this. Well, did you also notice that I never really asked you to have more than, I don't know what, like 100 or so clients a month in many of the categories? I mean, we weren't talking about thousands and hundreds of thousands of items that had to be moved every single month, because I knew that by showing you the low numbers, that would empower you to say to yourself, hey, I can do something like this. This is real. I can see it happening. The other reason I created this video is because I want you to go out in the marketplace and actually do some of these things. I mean, isn't it time to kind of get jazzed again about our industry and your career, and obviously being paid for it and being compensated, but doing some fun things that allow you and your friends and your family to enjoy life again. I mean, you simply cannot make any type of rockstar chef money unless you have products and programs and services that customers can buy, and that in many instances they can buy online, so that you can make money while you're sleeping, 24/7. That's how you build your brand, and that's how you build your empire in the new digital economy. Look, it makes me sad. I've met so many, so many friends, so many big-hearted, talented, awesome people who, they have a tremendous offering and they have a lot to offer the world, and they're completely broke. And, for those of you who know me personally, I'm very direct, and I say, hey, why are you so broke? What do you have for sale other than trading your time for money at a job? And they often say to me, well, Mark, I don't have anything for sale. Or, for some of my friends that I've been kind of poking at a little bit, they do have something for sale, and they got boxes of that crap in their garage. I mean, it's filled, you can't even get the car in because all their herbs and spices or rubs or marinades or sauces or dressings or barbecue sauces piled up in the garage because they created something, and I honor that they created something, but they never learned how to truly market it in any kind of significant way. So I hope that by walking you through these 10 very simple, very doable examples, you have an understanding of where all the money comes from. Because when you add these 10 components together, the ones that we just went through, the grand total comes to $1,001,960.79 by simply creating products, programs, and services that highlight your culinary expertise or your point of view or your passion. And the reality is, guys, that there are plenty of people out there in the marketplace making $1 million or more just concentrating on one of these areas. Think about that for a second. Just one of the 10 I mentioned, there are people out there that are making a significant income with. Now, my personal choice is I like to have what's called a functionally integrated product suite in place that helps self-perpetuate my brand products and services, and we'll talk about that in future videos. But I hope that by watching this bonus video that you begin to see where the money comes from. I mean, I do it in a way so that each of my products builds off each other and complements the other. Because I think that the incredible opportunities in our industry are really just coming to life right now. And we have to be, much more transparent. We as the leaders of this industry have to be much more transparent how people can develop their brands and do it in a way that's filled with honesty and integrity and above all class. I mean, this is both your challenge and your opportunity. And I look forward to helping you with that through this free video training series. Hopefully one day you can come to our Rockstar Chef Marketing Academy live event. I'd love to see you there someday, and I'll tell you how to enroll in that in the future, in that program in future videos. But for now, I would encourage you to go back, watch this video, review the list of products, the programs and services that we just went through. You'll see that there's, hopefully one of those will resonate with you, and you'll think about the ones that sound the most fun to you. I mean, pick 1 to 3 of them and maybe start to map out what this would look like for you and your business. So as you finish this video, and I want to thank you for spending some time with me, I appreciate you thinking about your career or your brand, maybe a little bit bigger now, a little more strategically, and I really appreciate what you're going to be doing in the future with this in your marketplace. I love that you're being a doer, not just a talker. Well, listen, in some of the upcoming videos, I'll be sharing with you how you make all of this stuff work online. And I'll share with you some examples of what's possible for you to do on the internet in terms of your website and your social media and maybe, mobile apps and other things like that, so that you can build your brand and let the world know about your products or your services or your culinary artistry, and of course, how you can make some money from that. Well, I look forward to seeing you there. Until then, remember, life's too short for a bad meal, so start gathering around the table more often with family and friends, celebrating life, love, and great food. I'll see you in the next video.